Hey, this is William for attackofthefanboy.com, and this is Uncharted 4. In case you didn't recognize who these people are, Kyle, since you've never played the series, that's Nathan Drake and his wife, Elena Fisher.
Everybody knows Nathan Drake now.
Well, yeah, maybe, I guess. That's true. As you can tell, this man, he is a treasure hunter who has been domesticated here for the fourth installment in the series. He's, this is a brand new story for the game. Obviously, he's going on a new adventure. They're introducing new characters, and some old favorites. But this is an Uncharted game. I was expecting with new writers and new since they had the shakeup at Naughty Dog where Amy Hennig left and Justin Richmond left. I was expecting maybe Druckmann and Staley to kind of make the series a little bit darker, but this is an Uncharted game.
Yeah, I mean Druckmann gave us The Last of Us.
Yeah, I mean you can definitely feel those influences in the game. Okay. Some of the characters and some of the strong characters in the game, but it's not The Last of Us. It's not like super dark.
Which, I mean, for fans of the series, this is 3 games in. This is supposedly the last game in the series.
Yeah.
Am I correct in saying that?
It is. It's Thieves' End.
Yeah, I mean, it's not too out there to expect them to tone down whatever darkness lies within them to keep this thing.
There is no darkness.
As Uncharted is.
There is no darkness in Uncharted. But what people got kind of like crazy about it when they released a dark trailer and they called it a Thieves' End and said this is the end, and kind of made people react that way. I mean, Uncharted games haven't been dark experiences. They tell Nathan Drake is a lighthearted character, even in like the most dire of situations. Yeah. The dialogue in these games is usually, I mean, he's a plucky hero. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's not.
He's young Indiana Jones.
Yeah, I don't know how young he is anymore, but he's definitely Indiana Jones-like. And, for this game, I say it's an Uncharted game, but it is, there have been some things that have been changed around a little bit for this iteration in the series. There's a rope swinging mechanic. Some of the climbing and traversal mechanics have been tuned a little bit differently. There's a pike, I believe it's called, that he uses to stick into like wall faces. There's obviously still a lot of shooting, a lot of melee combat, a lot of big action moments that this series is kind of known for.
Did they tailor the gameplay more into The Last of Us? Or because from what I'm seeing here, it's extremely, actually it's okay getting shot a couple of times, you're going to be fine. Whereas Last of Us was more, of course you can change the difficulty, but overall the feeling was more of you were in danger at any one moment.
Right, and it's not like that in Uncharted. Yeah, right, there are different difficulty settings. I've never been a huge fan of the gunplay in Uncharted, especially with the old DualShock 3. I just have never liked playing any type of shooter on the DualShock 3. But with the new controller, it's a little bit tighter. They've got some different shooting options in this game, like as far as like auto aim goes. But to answer your question, no, this is definitely not as tense as The Last of Us. Your characters can definitely take more damage, and you're hiding behind cover, getting shot, rolling around, doing crazy feats,
Yeah. Which is what people like about the series from my outsider perspective. People just love having fun being Nathan Drake.
And that's what this is. And if you recall, like, the trailer from E3, the one that got everybody hugely excited, like, you're fucking following behind. I mean, what was it? He's hanging on a rope and swinging from this crane, and then he's dragged along through the mud and shooting out motorcycles. I mean, that is what Uncharted does, and it's all just it's all so beautiful in the way that it comes together. Like the action, the the cutscenes. So they're not even cutscenes. They're all in engine, and it all transitions, and it's all so seamless that it's just such a beautiful game. Now, this game is a long game, and I don't remember many of the Uncharted games feeling long, even though they haven't been like the order short. But I think it has to do with like that shakeup at Naughty Dog. And I believe they had to scrap a lot of the content that Hennig was working on, maybe, and they like switched voice actors, and they might have switched paces for the story, and this one doesn't feel like it has the same pacing, which was one of like the huge things about Uncharted 2. It's like one of those things where it's like a great movie where you never feel bored, you know? It's always moving from spot to spot, and although this does have a lot of that, there seems to be a little bit drag on a little bit in some of the combat sequences. Some sequences like this one where you're driving around in the ATV and you're using a winch to get up. I mean, it feels like they overuse some of that stuff when they could probably get to some of the bigger points a little bit quicker.
I mean, does it feel like they're intentionally padding the game, or does it just seem like maybe they didn't recognize that this wasn't as entertaining as everything else?
No, it's just all good. I mean, it's still fun. I mean, it's like complaining. It's complaining just to complain. It's all still beautiful and fun to do and all that. It just felt a little long in the tooth. It was the only Uncharted game that I've ever played where I was like, okay, this is seeming like it's taking a little longer than it should. And this, I should note, isn't gameplay of mine. This is actually B-roll. We're not allowed to show anything that we captured because of spoilers. You know, no one wants to get spoiled for what this Uncharted is going to be. Everyone wants to experience it for themselves. But, I mean, this is a treasure hunt, essentially, one where Nathan teams up with his brother to find a long-lost pirate colony and, takes him around the world, kind of like his other adventures. But, it's very, very similar. Just only in that it felt a little long at times.
Okay.
Which is a horrible complaint, right? Because we're going to say, well, this game's way too short. And it clocked me at 13 hours. And at 13 hours, I'm saying that's too long. That's not too long. Maybe that was just me, you know? It was the pacing more than anything.
Exactly. It can be. I mean, one of my favorite games of the last couple of years was Alien Isolation, and that game dragged so long to the point where I was like, please, I love you. I love the experience that I've had. Please end now. Like, right. I've had my fill. I've had the good moments that you have to offer, and now you're only lessening things. And people don't really. Some people argue against that. They're like, no, I want more hours of entertainment for my dollar. Right. But there's something to be said about the pacing and just making sure that you are entertained from beginning to end. I mean, just if it went to a black screen for 3 hours in the middle, that's not a good thing just because it adds 3 hours to the game. So I get what you're saying here. And I also get that you're saying it is still good. It's the same thing that I felt with Alien, where I'm just like, it's not bad. I'm not trying to complain, but really you've shown me your best stuff and this is not it. And I want to either get back to the good stuff or get a nice capper, put a bow on this, end it, and we'll call it a day.
Yeah. And I don't know if I necessarily ever felt like that with Uncharted 4 because, they are constantly impressing you in this game, whether it's the visuals, the vistas, the set piece moments that they come up with. They are constantly impressing you and they are constantly showing you the good stuff. It's just that there's only so many times where you're like, okay, let me find a crate to swing down so we can jump up on this other thing. I mean, what we're watching right here is a little bit different, but there's a lot of times where like, well, Nate, you've got to go up there and get this crate, push it down so we can jump up, or come here, buddy, press triangle so we can give you a boost. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they do a lot of the same things over and over, whether it's moving debris out of the way or what have you. But, it is filler stuff. It does take time, but...
Well, and, something you've been dancing around that I'm seeing in this video is that this is a ridiculously gorgeous game.
Yeah, it is unbelievably good. It's the best looking game on the PlayStation 4 by far. Probably the best looking game that's come out on these new consoles, without a doubt. I mean,
just
maybe
everything
Quantum
is
Break is close, but the visuals in this, the colors, everything about it is just so impressive, and they do the whole way through. Unlike some of the other games where like they reused a lot of the same like color palettes and environments, this one is so varied. You're taking all over the world. You can see like these underwater elements. Look how good this looks, dude.
Yeah.
But if you come to Uncharted for the visuals, you will not be disappointed in Uncharted 4. I haven't put a score on this game yet. I haven't even started writing my review for it. We're still a day out from embargo. But this will be published with the review, and I mean, I don't even know what to take away from, it's hard to take away anything from this game, other than, some of the gunplay is not that great. It's not, it never has been though, that hasn't been the star of the show for Uncharted. It's like that kind of stuff. You're jumping across and smashing a guy's face in. It's Indiana Jones, the video game, and they do that well,
Yeah. Yeah. What's with the gravity in this section of the video?
This actually is one of the
Like a dream sequence?
mods. No.
Okay.
There are mods that you can add to the game. That's a good question, Kyle, because that would have looked weird if we hadn't added editorial to this. Because I did not watch this video and I haven't seen this gravity stuff.
I thought they gave us glitchy
mods.
video.
No. They allow you to mess with the game world a little bit. They have like slow bullet time. They have gravity mods. They have like, you can put it in 8-bit mode. You can do a cell shaded version of the game and flip those bonus things off and on as you want after you finish the game. And here's like the cell shaded mode. I tried that out. And it's just, add a fly, you click the button, turn it off and on.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty...
It's technically impressive, right?
Yeah.
What they did with the engine to be able to kind of do some of this stuff. And it still looks good.
Yeah. It's kind of
Um,
weird just thinking about how many delays this game had, and then it ends up with all these extra bits. Like, you would think this would be kind of a bare bones thing just because they had to delay it so much.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever they do that, it's usually because something is wrong and they're frantically trying to finish the game. But it seems like they delayed it because they were like, no, this needs a cell shaded filter. Well,
yeah, we got
can't
people
produce this.
people like doing the photo modes for this
yeah.
game. So, that's one of the bonus things when you I think you have to complete the game to unlock that. Yeah, here's the 8-bit mode. Yeah, I tried some of these things. It was hard to play in 8-bit mode for sure. It's just hard to see what's going on. But as you could tell, like there are some unlockable things that if you're coming just for the campaign, there are some unlockable things that you're going to be able to mess with after the fact and unlock.
Yeah, I mean, that photo mode in The Last of Us was ridiculous. Like,
Yeah, people
there
come
was
up with some great stuff.
Yeah.
When you go to those PSN share, Twitter, hashtag PSN share, whatever it was, PS4 share, I forget. There are tons of like good looking photos. And I'm sure there will be a ton coming out of this game once it launches on the 10th, I believe.
Yep.
But, after the story's over, you kind of... you have some replayability, you have some stuff you can unlock in the story mode. There's some different difficulty modes, and there's definitely reason to play it again. It is a beautiful game. It is a fun game. But after all that stuff is done, obviously Uncharted fans do know that there is a multiplayer suite also.
Of course.
Right.
That was what, introduced in the second one? The first one didn't have that, right?
The first one didn't have it, I don't think. I think it was the Uncharted 2 that did, which was kind of like a bare bones multiplayer experience. Mm-hmm. This, I keep going back and forth on whether I like this or not. It's very interesting. I mean, it tries to capture the essence of Uncharted, like the story mode, right? Like these epic battles where you're swinging on your rope and climbing up buildings and doing these heroic feats in a multiplayer match with teammates. It's just weird because it adds some different types of power-ups that you can pretty much purchase and put into a loadout, like you just saw there. There are, numerous guns that you can purchase. There are, you can call in support soldiers, and there are some very interesting aspects to the multiplayer, and there were times where I had a lot of fun with it, like when my teammates were cooperating and we were kind of holding down areas. And you have to earn cash to kind of purchase these upgrades. So as you can see, it's keeps popping up. You get cash for your brood attacking. You get cash for picking it up off the ground. You get cash for downing enemies, and then you go into your loadout, use the cash to, or you use points to, set up your loadout, and then you use cash to use them in game. If that makes sense.
So
there's a roundabout way of explaining that.
Let me try and summarize that. You use points to unlock stuff permanently. Go back to it.
You use points to unlock stuff permanently, right? Or you accomplish things, like you use your partner's X amount of times to unlock the one higher than it.
Okay. So a lot of unlocks is essentially what
tons of unlocks. Tons of costumes, tons of guns, tons of stuff to, dig your teeth into if this ends up being your bag. But I can't shake the feeling, and I haven't been able to shake it for the last 3 games, that this is not everyone's multiplayer.
Yeah, there was something about The Last of Us multiplayer, though, that everyone really, really loved. More than what I felt like people enjoyed Uncharted multiplayer for. The Last of Us just seemed to really solidify, and people thought it was just going to be this tacked-on crazy mode that no one would care about, and then all of a sudden it was almost worth the price of admission by itself. But you don't think that that's carried into this one?
It's
or
just
would
not
you disagree with that?
I don't necessarily. There are going to be fans of Uncharted multiplayer. That is without a doubt. I just don't know that The Last of Us multiplayer captured the essence of that game, and that's why people liked it. Uncharted multiplayer captures the essence of Uncharted. It's just it's two different things. You had the crafting mechanics in that game. It's just two different things. It's hard to compare those two multiplayer games. But yeah, I think Uncharted multiplayer is probably going to be not for everyone. And some people are going to like it, some people are going to hate it, some people are going to think it's a clusterfuck, some people are going to think it's fucking awesome. But me personally, I was just kind of on the fence. One round I would have a real good time, other rounds not so much. You're swinging from ropes, meleeing people in the air, having gun fights while swinging on these ropes and doing crazy power-ups. It can be fun at times. I just didn't... I've got to make a decision on whether I like that or not here pretty shortly. But I'm kind of on the fence. And we didn't get to play it that much. So there was multiplayer dev sessions, and we had a few hours to play it. So it's hard to really tell what that's going to feel like. But I also felt the same way when it was in beta.
Yeah.
Did you play that at all?
No.
No.
I don't want my first real intro to the series to be in multiplayer form, which everyone seems to. What I'm hearing from you is what I've thought this series had for a while, which is this multiplayer mode that some people really like and some people just don't even touch. So, I definitely understand your feelings in that regard.
Yeah, it's just not going to replace, the multiplayer-centric games. I don't think that this game is made for multiplayer, right? People come to Uncharted for the great story and the beautiful visuals, I think. And I believe, multiplayer is a extra, On the other side, you have, Call of Duty. People come or Battlefield. People come for the multiplayer, and the story is secondary. And, in different games. But I could definitely see getting value out of this, because even though I wanted more after the dev sessions, but they were short. You know, it was only a couple hours, and I was like, "Oh, I'd like to play this some more. I'd like to dig in a little bit further and see if this is going to be for me." Because there's all sorts of stuff like as far as unlocks and perks for your character. It seems as deep as like some of those multiplayer centric games. I just wasn't necessarily deep enough into it to feel those changes to the gameplay. But it was, like any multiplayer game, it is definitely something that your fun depends on how good your team is. If you're just getting crushed, it can be kind of shitty. But
yeah.
All right, well that's about it for Uncharted 4. Our review will be up on May 5th. The game comes out May 10th. You can check attackofthefanboy.com or youtube.com/fanboyattack for other content from us. We've got some PAX East 2016 videos. We've got
there's still a couple more for that, actually.
I know. We've got a lot of stuff up on the YouTube channel and a lot of stuff up on attackofthefanboy.com. Thanks for watching. Boy, did I ramble. I'm going to have to edit that shit down.
I think